When going through the assigned readings for this lesson, which are actually assigned and aren't optional, you'll want to ask yourself a few questions to ensure you're understanding the materials sufficiently. First, ask yourself what was the research question the researcher was trying to answer. This is usually labeled as the hypothesis or the research question. Second, what were the findings or the answer to the research question? These findings are usually labeled as results or findings. Third, what do those findings mean for what we're talking about in class this week? This is usually labeled as a discussion section. As you read these articles, you'll notice that they cover two broad themes. The first theme gets to the heart of whether corporate reputations even matter. That first issue is whether consumers care about corporate reputations. Does a company's reputation really have an impact on its customers at all? Well, since a company can't exist without customers, it makes sense to think about how a company's reputation impacts its customers. Even nonprofit organizations have customers too. They just might be considered donors or supporters or other types of contributors to the organization. The second theme you'll see in the readings for this week explores the role that PR professionals have in controlling a company's reputation. Are PR professionals the mouthpiece or the face of an organization, or should they be behind the scenes? When it comes to answering these two broad themes, you'll want to start with the first question regarding whether corporate reputations even matter. The article from Page and Fern that you're reading this week addresses that issue. As you read it, don't let yourself get bogged down in the methodology section, since this is not a research methods class. Instead, you'll want to pay attention to the questions the researchers were trying to answer. Make sure you understand whether, according to the researchers, corporate reputation matters to consumers, and if so, how it matters to consumers. In particular, pay special attention to figure 2.5 to really understand the main point of this article. Your next assigned reading for this lesson is the Graham and Bansal work. That article addresses the question of if customers care about a company's reputation, then do you think they would be willing to pay for that reputation? In this article, there were three specific questions the researchers were trying to answer. For the purposes of our class, you'll want to focus on the first two questions. Those questions are presented as hypotheses, so please make sure you understand the researchers' findings for both H1 and H2 as they're identified in the article. You'll want to consider what exactly those findings say about consumers and how much corporation reputations matter. Next, we'll look at the second theme for this article, which is the role PR professionals have in managing a company's reputation. Capozzi's article addresses what PR professionals should or should not be doing to manage a company's reputation. In particular with this article, you'll want to pay attention to the section entitled Our Role, which outlines how professionals have a seat at the table when they're in a PR role. The article then outlines what we as PR professionals do with our seat at the table and how we can go about doing those things. Finally, I want you to review Markin's article. While you read it, keep in mind that it was published in 2002, so it is old. Therefore, when Markin mentions AOL and Earthlink as being dominant, you can ignore that part. But despite these outdated references, you'll still find that the article brings up important and relevant issues in the world of reputation management that are important for you to consider this week. Thank you so much for listening to this tutorial. Please feel free to ask your instructor any questions you have about this week's lesson and assigned readings before you work on your assignments for this week.